Community, women's leadership, advocacy, the immigrant story. Whether we're born here or born abroad, I think that the immigrant story is really a shared community story. And not in the kind of mythical way of saying, immigrants came here, pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps, but in the real way, which is that immigrants, people who came here, no matter where you came from, struggled, were exploited, have faced inequality and barriers, throughout our time here and continue to. So, is it, instead of the bootstrap story, what we're seeing today is the story of the wall, and that is not new. That's something that we have faced throughout history and that we share with our Native and our African American sisters and brothers. But when I think about leadership also, I think this theme is really important today, because you look at what are the really critical struggles, what are the important hashtags today. It's Black Lives Matter, it's Me Too, it's No Ban, No Wall. And these are the critical struggles that are really cutting edge and that are pushing our country forward. And it's not a surprise that women are really at the core of most of that. And when I think about my own community and my own feeling about leadership, my inspiration has always come from the immigrant working class women in my community. One of the ways that I first became involved and ended up at the Chinese Progressive Association for 30 years is through learning about the struggles and the amazing power of immigrant garment workers when all of the garment factories in Boston were shutting down in the 1980s. These women who knew nothing but the sewing machine, in their own words, amazingly organized themselves into a force that really pushed the state government, the city government, to create the first bilingual job retraining programs for them. Stood up and organized people like myself, who were college students at the time, to support them, but really stood on their feet when some of the officials would say, "Oh, we're not going to talk to you, we'll talk to your supporters." And the women would stand up and say, "Those supporters work for us. We know what our demands are. You're going to talk to us." And that was true leadership, and that was true strength. And those are the kind of women that I've seen time and time again, whether it was the garment workers of the 80s, whether it was the struggle of parents dealing with Boston school busing desegregation back in the day when people thought there were only black and white, but there were also Chinese kids being bused around. Or whether we're talking about today, when the labor movement in many ways in this area is being reshaped by Asian women who are working in the hotel industry and the home healthcare industry. So I'm hoping that as a fellow, one of the things I can do is maybe contribute to an oral history documentation project where to take down the story of some of these women.